Hello, friends, and welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're tuning in live here or catching me on replay, I'm so grateful to have you join us. Thank you. I hope you're having a great week. Happy Wednesday to you. Let's dive right in.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. I'm Winnie Sun, your host and award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member. I'm delighted to be joined by you. Yes, we are streaming here live on many social media platforms. So definitely jump in, say hello, take a moment to introduce yourself, and tell me how your week's been going. Now, I know it's been kind of a choppy week for the financial markets. Yesterday was the drops were pretty steep, and unfortunately it's continuing right now. So let me give you a quick update on how the market's currently at. The Dow's currently down about 178 points, improved a little bit. Before we started, it was down over 200 points. The Nasdaq's down 30, and the S&P 500 is also down 14 points currently. And we'll check back in before the end of the show. But yes, the volatility continues actually pretty dramatically. And with that, with the market dropping, that also means on the flip side, well, the 10-year treasury has gained 6 basis points. Now, this is reaching its highest level since 2007. While the 2-year treasury yield continues to go higher. So that's sort of how it's sort of that teeter totter effect. And so this is also why, for those of you who are investing for those long term financial goals, why it's important to make sure that you have diversification in your investment portfolio because things will change and it depends on where the market's at. And it's good to have that balance of having some security when things are going awry. Talking about things that are also going up and going higher, and that includes oil. There has been so much talk about climate change and electric energy, battery powered and solar powered. But on the flip side, when you're seeing things of instability on the financial markets, sometimes people will gravitate to areas that more traditional industries, such as oil. So, U.S. crude future spikes is nearly up 3%, which is really dramatic, surpassing the $93 per barrel levels, which of course translates to because right now there's been continued insecurity in the stock market. So people are feeling like they're gravitating to what they think are like safer industries. Whether they're safe or not, it depends on who you talk to. But yes, nonetheless, people are going into that direction. And as we have continued inflation concerns, now you may be saying, well, the Fed has been trying to work hard, right? They've been increasing interest rates left and right, and it just seems like the cost of goods don't seem to be getting any better. So is inflation finally going to come down? At what point can banks continue to increase interest rates? Maybe, you're in the market to buy a new home, which I know some of our clients are in that realm. Looking, even thinking my car is getting a little older, I might have to buy a new car. And for those of you who are looking at the October making your student loan payments again, you're feeling the pinch as well with interest rates. Unfortunately, heightened fears continue with persistent inflation. Things aren't getting much cheaper. And continue to have more concerns of what the Federal Reserve is going to do. And it's not just about if the Federal Reserve is going to continue to increase interest rates, but the concern is how long are they going to keep interest rates at these record level high levels as well? And unfortunately, even though they might not be increasing as much going forward, they also came out and announced that they're not going to be pulling them back. Interest rates are going to be coming down anytime soon. And talk was, of course, for next year. So next year, the rate drops might not be as often as we were hoping to see, because we're hoping that inflation would drop and things would get a little better. So those are some of the concerns that you continue to see as we go into October. Consumer confidence levels continue to be, unfortunately, not where they need to be. In fact, the index declined 203, and that this is the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index, dropped to 103 in September, and that was more than expected. And JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, you may have heard this. He actually was cautioning, saying that interest rates might need to actually go even higher to control inflation. That's not a big surprise. I think anybody right now who's out there going to the supermarket, buying goods that you need, buying things that you might need for back to school, and of course, going to holidays, you're feeling the pinch. Things are definitely not cheaper. In fact, many things have gotten more expensive. The Federal Reserve's announcement on fewer anticipated rate cuts for next year also is impacting the stock market as well. And here's another thing to remember: October tends to be known as, a very volatile month for the stock market, but it's also known as a bear killer. So that could mean that there could be some opportunities if you're in the market to purchase some investments for those long-term financial goals. That could be good for you. So we'll see. We'll see. But there's other stories that I wanted to share with you. And this one is a big one. You may have seen actually breaking news alerts all over financial news yesterday. I got like 3 or 4 alerts on my phone. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, and 17 states here in the United States have filed a lawsuit against Amazon. And why is it? They're saying that the e-commerce giant Amazon, which once started as just Jeff Bezos selling books online, well, now it's become this huge, huge thing. And they're saying that it's now an unlawfully protected monopoly in an online retail space. In fact, the lawsuit sets the stage for a significant antitrust battle that can completely change not only technology, but how we do online shopping and our online shopping experience. In fact, the lawsuit, which is a total of over 170 pages, accuses Amazon of having a monopoly in the on-town retail space, and that they really squeeze merchants and they're really giving preferred treatment to their own services. Now, this is not something new. In fact, the financial industry went through this a few years ago, maybe like a decade ago, where a lot of the larger financial firms were not only considered monopolies in the financial space, but they were actually selling their own products, their own mutual funds, their managed accounts, and selling this to their customers or consumers. But of course, that also meant that they were getting paid more. Now you're seeing that same sort of thing happen with Amazon. They're saying that Amazon actually leads to artificially higher prices for consumers because there's less competition. And it definitely benefits things are sold directly from Amazon, shipped directly from Amazon, having that prime label of, quicker shipping and everything. And they're just saying, with an annual revenue which exceeds $500 billion, Amazon really deserves growing more scrutiny. This is what the lawsuit is saying. And in fact, Amazon is not just an online retailer, as many of you know. They've expanded through acquisitions of like One Medical, which is like the online medical healthcare services, right? iRobot and many other, in fact, even in the media space. And they are really the dominant player in so many other places with not only online retail, but also cloud computing and even streaming services. So the FTC is really looking closely into this. But why this is important is it goes really well beyond just Amazon. This is also saying that in terms of antitrust, how big is too big, and at what level is it no longer fair? So the FTC, as you know, is challenging Google's online search dominance. They're also bringing a antitrust lawsuit against Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. But this is really just the beginning. In fact, Lena Khan, who is the chair of the FTC. She's a Yale grad. She actually wrote a paper about this in 2017, saying that antitrust laws really had failed to curb companies such as Amazon and their influence. So, Amazon is, of course, going to, they're responding to this, they're arguing this, and we'll see how this unfolds. But I think this is a really big story because this is going to impact not only how you purchase things, the services that you use, and also your personal bottom line and your household expenses because competition is competition can be good, right? Competition enables merchants to give us discounts to make sure costs aren't too high, and it's also competition of giving us more quality goods at more competitive prices. So this FTC lawsuit is really very similar to another lawsuit brought up by the European Union, the EU, which has prompted Amazon to already start to make concessions to be able to do business there. And so we'll see how that unfolds here in the United States. But I think we would all agree competition is good. And of course, keeping costs competitive is helpful for everybody instead of having one source, one price, and with such an incredible dominance in online shopping, it really impacts all of us and our bottom line. So really, really interesting story. I want you to pay attention to that if you haven't already. And I'll continue to keep you updated on the show, of course, as we learn more and with that development. We'll see how the FTC goes. So, in that sense, I want to hear from you. Do you feel like this is government overreaching? Do you feel like this is an area the government should get their toes in and really get involved? Do you feel like what Amazon doing is acceptable? Do you feel like they're actually improving competition, and do you feel like they should retain their place in what they're doing with less regulation? Really curious to see how you feel about that. Definitely jump on comments and go ahead and share that in. And if you're watching on replay, go ahead and reply to me. And of course, you want to tag me at Winnie Sun. I would love to hear from you on that. And welcome, by the way. I see Joshua, I see CrossX Fighter joining us on YouTube Live. I see a lot of friends joining us on all the different platforms today. It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for being here. All right. Now, I want to segue over to the topic of artificial intelligence, AI. AI, big thing. We know it's here. Many of you probably utilize it for your work, maybe even homework. Could be all of that. Let me just say, it's now plays a really big role on what I do each and every day. I use different AI tools practically at least 70% of my days now. So it's busy. It's a big role. All right, so this is a new study. This is a survey that comes out of edX. And I want to share this with you because, as you can see, this was talked about on CNBC recently. I think it's a really, really interesting story. It's talking about CEOs and their survey and what they think, what roles could be replaced by artificial intelligence. And I think this is really interesting because we've talked about what jobs they would replace, but many of you I know have shared with me that you feel like certain CEOs have too much power, certain CEOs get compensated too much, but what about like everybody else, right? Well, here's what I thought was interesting. This survey showed that 49% of CEOs believe that AI could replace most or all of their own roles. We're not talking about their employees, we're talking about them and what they do. And about 47% view this, believe it or not, as a positive development. They're thinking some of the things that they do on a day to day could be streamlined by AI. Now, this was a survey conducted on over 1,600 full time US workers, consisting of about 800 C suite executives and CEOs. It's really interesting to see. They're saying that a good portion of what they do on a day to day basis or routine tasks could be automated, allowing them to focus more on strategic aspects of their roles. And this is what's interesting. Well, if that's the case, if most of the things that they do can be replicated by technology, what areas would they be focusing on? And they name this soft skills, critical thinking, creativity, teamwork, and leadership defining a successful CEO. And I actually think this is kind of, you have to think about this just for a moment, right? Like much of what they do are mundane tasks that they're saying artificial intelligence could improve. I would agree. As someone who runs multiple businesses, many of the role things that I was doing on a day-to-day basis, even now, some of the things that took up like a good 30 minutes today, an hour yesterday, those are things that I would love to see AI take over. And when would that take place? Well, they're saying that 49% of his existing skills in the workforce may become completely irrelevant by the year of 2025. That's only like less than 2 years away. So I would love to see certain things. Let me just, as someone who runs a business, these are some of the things I would love to see AI be able to take care of. Number one, delete spam out of my email box. Talk about um, a time suck that is just not productive, right? This is not just email, social media platforms, messaging, anyway, even voicemail, right? Have AI detect spam. You could then program it and just like literally clean that up. Imagine how much time would be saved from that. And I actually want to hear from you. What's something that you do on a day to day that you're like, this is such a waste of my time? Technology should be able to achieve that. I want you to go and drop that in right now because I think there's a lot that can be done. And so, with that in mind, CEOs are already trying to hire workers with artificial intelligence skills, AI skills. So, this is something and food for thought for you. If you're in the process of thinking about how you want to evolve what you do, right? Evolve your position, want to evolve your skill set. I would think that AI is an area that you want to look at and take a look and see if you can and do some more higher education in that area. In fact, 62% of Gen Zers who responded saying that they are definitely keen on learning more AI skills just to stay competitive in the job market. Now, speaking of AI, I want to jump over to this next story. And this comes out from the ChatGPT team. In fact, many of you probably use ChatGPT. I actually do use it quite a lot. I would consider myself a ChatGPT power user, in fact. But here's what I thought was really interesting. You know, I like using ChatGPT for its capabilities in terms of proofreading, rewording things and like that. But in terms of the content and data that goes in, I still trust myself to be able to bring that in, right? I actually plug in the data, plug in information, the things that I think are valuable, and I just simply use them almost like as a proofreading tool and a like sort of a polish tool. But in terms of the data that comes in, I'm controlling that data to make sure the quality is correct and that I feel comfortable with that information. But here's what OpenAI is doing. They're launching what they're calling a red teaming network. This is going to consist of contracted experts in different spaces because they want to help mitigate risk and want to make sure that things are done correctly and that the data is sound. So their red team is going to help identify both biases and safety issues in their AI models, such as their DAL E2, their ChatGPT tool, which you're probably familiar with, as well as GPT-4. Now, this network that they're going to be compiling will work with scientists, research institutions, civil society organizations to be able to assess that AI model products at various development stages continue to be sound. So the members of this network will also engage with each other on other red teaming practices. And they're saying they're seeking domain experts from various fields, including linguistics, biometrics, finance, healthcare, and other areas, and areas that without prior AI experience. And they're also calling for something called violet teaming. So, what is violet teaming? Violet teaming is where they focus on using AI to defend against harm caused by other AI systems. So, currently, current incentives may not support its implementation, but this is the direction they're going. They want to use AI to protect against AI, and they also want to have this sort of brain trust experts to make sure things are done properly and going forward. I think that's really good. I like that. I like that concept. Hopefully, they're able to implement that to the degree that they feel more comfortable, and that it will absolutely work. So we'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see how you feel about that. AI is an area I think we need to really continue to follow that story and learn, and most importantly, utilize. Because if you don't know how it works, you don't know how you can use it to your business and your daily lives. Yeah, to more productivity, and making sure that quality is still there and things are honest and things just get better. And with that, let's take a look and see what the market is currently. All right, the Dow is currently down 61 points. Nasdaq's up now, positive 26 points, and the S&P 500 is barely up by 1 point, but we'll take it. The market still has, let's see, about almost 2 hours to go. So we'll see. Hopefully things will get a little bit better and we can end up in the green, which would be in the positive, but we'll see. We'll continue to follow a story. I hope that you have a beautiful day. I want to thank you so much for being here and joining me today. We don't have a tweet chat today. We'll be back on October 11th on tweet chat, which will now be on X, aka previously Twitter. So definitely put that date in your calendar. October 11th, we have a very special chat schedule with in mind for you on that. But we want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here and being part of our amazing audience, being part of Level Up Live. If you found this helpful, definitely go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to that. And thank you so much for hanging in with me. That's what happens. I work out in the morning. I didn't have enough water, and I go through and plunge through, and you get thirsty, and that's what happens. And all of a sudden, you lose your voice. So, thank you so much for being patient with me. And of course, you can find full episodes of Love Up with Winnie Sun on Nasdaq, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and many other streaming platforms. And of course, if you share this episode, like Joshua has done, thank you so much for doing that. If you do, tag at Winnie Sun so I can make sure to express my thanks in a future episode. With that, have a beautiful day. I'll see you again this week. Take care. I'll talk soon. Bye bye now.